Good day, everybody. Still here for the Daily Market Pulse. Okay, so this is actually yesterday's, but because the website's not work very well, but the stock still ended mixed regardless. And the only difference here is the indexes ended mixed, but also in mixed volume. So that's really the only change from yesterday. And as soon as I can get the website to work correctly, this will be updated as it should. Okay, so with that said, there is the Dow Jones coming into, and it was actually green and looking like it was breaking out above the pivot area, but it actually came down and closed down. So makes you a little suspicious as to what they're trying to do here. Are they going to take it up or not? Because pay attention, because this is the Dow, and when you go to the S&P, it's the same thing. They were green for part of the day, and then look, it turned red. So it finished off the high, it finished off the pivot area and closed down in the red this time. So Dow Jones was green, S&P red, NASDAQ same thing. NASDAQ actually, candle's missing here, so hold on. NASDAQ actually did the same thing. NASDAQ showed a very large upper shadow, was very green, and then completely collapsed and fell apart. So, and finished, I believe it finished red. It was a red candle, but I'm not sure if I can't remember if it was red for the day. But anyway, came off its highs big time back inside that declining channel. So big rejection despite the aggressive bullish nature earlier in the day. And then when you look at the TSX, so it's red as well. So it's been just pretty much consolidating and profit taking off these highs back toward the pivot area we talked about. This likely was going to occur. And sure enough, they're on track for that exact thing. US dollar, Canadian dollar. I believe this should be updated. It is. That's the 8th. So that's back into a kind of a pivot area and slightly lower, possibly looking for a lower level of 107 on that one. Euro came off its highs of 139.50 and then essentially retesting 138 for the time being, looking for the possibility of a bounce or slightly lower than a bounce again. And the Treasury is kind of sideways, a little more of a high wave, kind of a spinning top variation with a new high, of course, established. Still looking at 137 for a target, 139 thereafter, so that still looks good on the upside, which then means, of course, markets are likely lower if that goes higher, right? There's a Japanese yen breaking out. I'm looking for higher on this one as well, across the 200-day moving average in the pivot area that's from early February as well. Gold faded. This was actually yesterday, and then this had also faded a little bit lower, at least paused near and above 1280 again. No big surprise there. And silver did the same thing right around the $19 mark, right in that vicinity there. Crude had inventories yesterday with a strong push and shove to the upside on a green candle, and has been pretty much profit taking after the last few days of upside price action into flat 50 and 220-day moving average, including a 200. So it could just kind of chop here and stay sideways for a couple more days, perhaps. But ultimately, we're still looking for this to potentially at least test 102 at some point. We'll see if they ever accomplish that ever. Small caps being that they are risk-on, representative of the Russell. Similar to what the NASDAQ did, which was go higher and then fade aggressively back into the apparent support area, in this case 109 to 108. And then when you go into the VIX not showing a whole lot still. It gapped up on the open a little bit, went slightly higher, faded lower, and it came back up to close at this point. Slightly green compared to yesterday. So it's holding this 1350 level reasonably well, and nothing really showing its hand one way or the other in any of the markets, including the VIX.